Hello, everybody, and welcome to coverage of the 2021 Fall Brawl. We're in the semifinals now. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined today by Aaron Dix. Say hi, Aaron.
How's it going, everybody?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this match that we have in store. How are you doing?
Oh, no complaints here. This
Okay.
is going to be a good one.
Yes. So the matchup that we have on hand is Nils Delphin with blue-white Landstill, and he's up against Gabe Farkas playing mono black aggro pit. So it's something that Gabe has piloted and produced and has been doing pretty well with it. So certainly an interesting deck from Gabe. But right now I have the blue white Landstill deck for Niels. This is a little bit more of a traditional deck, though the list isn't exactly stock
hmm
from what we see. I know Niels had said that he had been experimenting with a number of cards, and by no means does he consider this an optimal list, but he wanted to try out different counter spells and different spells to see how they were. That's why you do see a number of one ofs cards like Annul in the main deck, or Spike, Disrupt, Chain of Vapor. Those are all one ofs that really aren't normally in the main decks or even in the 75 of Landstills, but Niels wanted to see how they perform. So what is your take of this deck or Landstill in general?
Uh, this deck seems super awesome for this matchup as far as Landstill goes against Suicide Black. We see Disrupt and Force Spike main deck, which could disrupt that first turn ritual, which is the start that I think Gabe's going to need. A first turn ritual into threats or big time disruption is the only way to get under Landstill early enough. And if he can disrupt that or force spike that, I think it's huge.
Yeah, I do agree that like in the long game, obviously the blue white Landstill deck usually is typically powerful, but this disruption elements I think will be the key part. And I'll bring up Gabe's list, and I think the most interesting card is the Bottomless Pit. If it can come out early, then
Mhm.
Niels really could have a hard time kind of thinking ahead and planning anything. If he just has to discard a card at random every turn, it could really throw a wrench into Niels's game plan. So I think that would be probably what Gabe's looking for the most. Though, like the backup plan of just flooding the board with creatures and maybe like
Mhm.
a duress to take away like a Wrath of God or some number of removal spells is a fine backup plan. But I think Bottomless Pit is really what he's looking for most. What do you take from this mono black aggro pit deck?
I think it's cool. I think it can attack a couple different ways. I mean, you have 19 creatures main deck here. So you can totally play that super aggro plan. He's got the negators main. He's got some really, really strong stuff that he can deploy early. Even just being able to disrupt and know what your opponent has in hand early on lets him do some really, really smart plays to maximize what he's got. I wonder about the rack strategy against, you know, a deck that can draw so many cards.
Sure, Fact or Fiction's pretty good in general, but then when your opponent has
Yeah,
the rack, then like it's a pretty good counter to that. So yes.
sure.
But I am going to bring up some slides for the players so we
Mhm.
can get to know them a little bit before we get started. We'll go over this briefly. So Nils Delphin is from Oslo in Norway. He is an IT architect. Started playing in Tempest, and his hobbies include guitar and music in general. So a little bit about the deck that he chose. So the Blue White Landstill, as I kind of talked it up a little bit before, wanted to play a blue control deck. He thinks Blue White Landstill is the best alternative. I guess he didn't think that just a straight mono blue was optimal. And he said he changed some cards to have some more early interaction, and he wanted to try some things.
I
Thinks the
like that.
best matchups for blue white Landstill. He says it's pretty even across the board. That there's nothing like that you're really super happy to play against. I mean, you kind of have to fight for all your wins, but
Yep.
you're not really afraid of anything. And he's kind of keeping things close to the vest in terms of what he wanted to change. So I guess we'll have to tune into him after the tournament's done to figure out what he would change. But he does recommend to not play Absorb in your Landstill deck. So we'll move over to Gabe. So Gabe's in Durham, North Carolina. He is a biostatistician. Started playing in Fallen Empires, where his hobbies include Watching the NBA, playing tennis, playing board games and tabletop games, playing chess, and then eating sushi. So quite a spread of things. And then a little bit about his deck. He wanted to combine Suicide Black and the Pit Rack decks and kind of put them in one deck to see how it worked. And so far, he's been doing okay with it. He says the best matchups are combo decks and slower mid-range decks. And then the worst matchups, he says, is Oath, which he managed to beat in the quarterfinals, and then decks with bigger creatures. So he said he would make changes by adding 2 Smother and probably playing Manlands, I'm assuming Mishra's Factory, over Wasteland.
I think the Wastelands could really help him today.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be missing those in this matchup. I think he will enjoy having those. But let's see how things play out. I will jump down to the match. Aaron, if you want to let our players know that they can get started, and we will kick things off. So Nils is the higher seed. I think Nils is seed 2, while Gabe is seeded 3. So Nils gets the choice to play or draw. He's elected to play. So I think it's a full 7 for Nils, and I think it's the same for Gabe. I didn't see him mulligan, but I wasn't paying too much attention. All right. So if you have to pick a winner for this match, which deck do you think is advantaged?
Ooh. I think this one, I think what Nils said about it is really, really accurate. He's going to have to fight for it, but I think I give a slight edge there.
I will as well. I think the blue-white Landstill, I don't think it's like a landslide by any means, but I think it's got a little bit of an edge.
I like Suicide Black against Landstill. I really do. I just think that this deck maybe isn't as focused as some of the other Suicide Black decks we see.
For some reason, I looked at that land and I thought it was a plains. I'm like, what is Gabe doing? I don't know if anyone else had that same thought, but the colors of it really threw me off. So Carnophage is his lead off.
Yeah.
And while it isn't an explosive start that we talked about with like Ritual into multiple threats or a bottomless pit, I mean, 2 power for 1 mana isn't a bad exchange for the black deck.
And he snuck it into play under some of the counter magic, so he's got a threat on the board.
Sure, no force spiking in this guy. So Nils plays a Mishra's Factory, which is something that will eventually be able to just block Carnophage on its own. And then
seems like a good time for a standstill as well.
Yeah. So this is always the interesting decision of how soon you want to break the standstill.
He's got to play to the board. He'll get in there first, but I bet he breaks this almost immediately.
I could see it like if he had a wasteland that maybe you might could make a different decision.
Sure.
If Nils doesn't have, okay, so he'll just address right away.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good way to do it because they get to see the 3 cards, but you get to take the best one right away. All right, so the cards we see: Prohibit, Wrath of God, Impulse, Seal of Cleansing, Wrath of God. Looks like 2 Flooded Strand and a Dust Bowl. So quite a grip there. Is there?
You take the Wrath of God here?
Well, there's 2 of them, so.
Oh, there are 2 of them. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think like cards like Seal of Cleansing could be better or worse depending on Gabe's hand. Like if he has a bottomless pit right away, but I don't know what I would take here. I think a lot of it just depends on what Gabe's holding.
Exactly.
But maybe you just have to take one of the Wrath of Gods, and if you have a more of a creature heavy hand, and just expect you just kind of got to slog through one of them. Seal of Cleansing is the card taken.
Okay. So does that maybe tip? Ooh, we got a Dark Ritual.
All right. Well, there's a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say, does that tip his hand a little bit and show that he has something? And sure enough.
So we'll do our little randomizing. So Niels is going to discard one of these cards.
Did we give everybody a chance to vote on who was going to win?
I didn't set it up. I haven't been doing it for
Okay.
the Fall Brawl, but
Got it. I didn't remember if that was the case or not.
I'm just jotting down the cards that we had seen.
A lot of land and a couple wraths.
Yeah, Prohibit and Impulse are other ones.
And Prohibit and Impulse. Yep.
And Dust Bowl. Yeah, that was one. All right.
I don't think Dust Bowl is even a factor in this game. To me.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not at its best here. I guess if Gabe were playing his revised version with Mishra's Factory, then it might be a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right, so Gabe gets to do his random discard. And I mean, he does have the pit in play, but it's kind of like the Carnophage right now is... It's not going to be getting through. Ooh.
Oh, he had the Wasteland.
I think that is probably not the card that Gabe wanted.
That's huge.
I was going to say... well, so last turn, if he would have led with Dark Ritual...
Yeah.
And then he could have duressed and had 2 black floating mana, and then he could have used the Wasteland for the last colorless mana bottomless pit. So he could have had a Wasteland in play if he would have sequenced his draws or his plays last turn. But he does add a Dothy Slayer, so...
seems huge right now. The Shadow seems super relevant.
Yeah, really good at getting around that Mishra's Factory, so... Alright, so we'll have the end of turn Impulse. So, I guess Nils is looking for a white source here, because he has 2 Wrath of Gods in his hand, so he knows even if Bottomless Pit hits one of them, I guess there's still a chance if he only has 1 white source that it gets discarded, because he did have to discard one of the Flooded Strands.
Well, so, he's tipping it a bit. He's got an Adarkar Wastes in there.
Oh, okay. So I think his plan is to.
But what do you do if it's Adarkar Wastes and a Swords? What do you do then? If you have a white source or a Swords?
I guess you could, because if you just take away the shadow creature, then like you don't really care that much about the Carnophage. In fact, it's almost kind of a liability for Gabe because he had. I guess I haven't updated life totals, but Gabe will have to pay life to either untap it or whatnot. So
yeah.
Right. That was a Wrath card that was discarded. So. All right, I think he's gonna cast the Wrath here. Just get the creatures out of the way.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, this is kind of a position where, I mean, both decks are kind of playing off the top. And
yeah,
when Nils has 4 land and he's able to hit land drops and card draw, and it just his deck is more powerful. We know he's got
plenty of lands in hand still.
Yeah, I guess the problem is so many of Nils' cards are reactive, like counterspells and Swords to Plowshares, that it could be where those cards just get stranded and discarded, but still. I guess what Nils wants to do is have some number of land and then hit Decree of Justice, and then he'll have a clock in play. I guess, I mean, even at this spot, if they're just playing empty-handed, Nils has a Faerie Conclave and a Mishra's Factory, so...
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about his position here. He's got to be too. I mean, Gabe's down to 2 cards in hand and doesn't have a way aside from... He's playing arenas, correct?
I don't think he has them in this list.
Don't remember. I was just thinking of a way around, like trying to get more cards in hand right now. Although there's the rack, and
it's a potential source of damage.
Discard here. Yeah. Oh, he got the Swords. This is a really interesting game all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say all of a sudden. It's been really solid so far.
It's still not at the point where that rack is dealing damage, and like if Nils just wanted, I guess he'd have to take a damage to activate the Faerie Conclave, but he could be hitting for 4 a turn, and that's going to race pretty well.
Sure.
We got the chat cheering for Fact or Fiction. That would
that would change the game quite a bit.
Yes.
You just fact and take the bigger pile.
Yep. So Niels, we know he has a Prohibit and a Dust Bowl left in his hand from what we had seen from that early duress. So I guess he's trying to figure out. I mean, there might be certain situations where you don't even want to play a land. I think most of the time you do, but it could pad your hand for a little bit to protect a certain card. But I don't know what card he would want to protect that much. So we have a follow from Serensis Mark, so thank you and welcome. And we have a follow from Force of Will, so welcome to the stream. We have Gabe discarding a Dark Ritual. Okay, thought he was casting for a moment. So Gabe just has, is it just the one card in his hand that he drew?
Yeah, looks like. I thought it was 2, but
yeah, I thought it was 2 as well. But yeah,
no, because when he played the rack down, he went down to 1.
Okay. And Gabe just passes the turn.
Yeah.
So like, how comfortable are you? Well, oh, there's a disenchant here. So yeah, this.
Ooh boy.
Oh, you just. I don't. Okay, I guess I was to say I was thinking it might just disenchant the rack and then just get aggressive, but I mean I guess Nils is gonna try and have his deck play his game, so I guess
yeah,
that could make sense.
Oh, Standstill here. Yeah, that's brutal.
I think Nils is deciding whether he wants to attack with the factory or leave up Prohibit or other counter magic.
Or other, yeah. I mean, Prohibit seems a pretty safe counterspell here with only 2 lands on Gabe's side.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think how many. I guess he does have 3 drops. I was gonna say how many.
He does get in there.
Okay. Well, he
ends for 2.
He had an island, so I guess so. He still has Prohibit up. So. Oh, well, Gabe has a third land. Is he gonna be able to slam something that can't get prohibited right now?
How many 3 drops in his deck? Negator, Bottomless Pit,
Hypnotic Spectre.
Hypnotic Spectre. Yeah. And pass his turn.
All right, in comes the factory.
Yep.
Oh, so Gabe is at 11 and Nils is at 14? Yeah, okay. Is Gabe at 11? All right.
No. Nils is at 11.
Okay. That makes more sense. I guess he is taking damage from the rack.
Yep. I mean, Gabe's got to play to the board. All of his threats are creatures or enchantments. You know, he's got to do something here, but to do it, he pops the Standstill, and Nils is out from under it.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a, and there's 4 mana for Prohibit,
right.
So there's not really any one card I think that can really do anything from this position.
As a damned if you do situation.
Yep. So here's a Hypnotic Spectre.
Oh.
So Standstill gets to do its thing, and then I'm sure Niels will happily answer this with. I mean, it could be Prohibit, it could be a Mana Leak or Spike, anything. Yeah. Anything and everything, I think, is pretty good here. Prohibit with the kicker.
Yeah. Another land drop. Every land drop is huge now. He just starts to put it completely out of range.
All right. Attack from the Mishra's Factory will deal 2. Now Gabe's at 12. So, in theory, Niels could attack for 3 turns with the Faerie Conclave and the Mishra's Factory and kill Gabe in 3 turns. Here's a Duress. If Niels is thinking about things, it's either Counter Magic or Fact Conviction. I guess I guess it could be Decree of Justice for 1 token. I'm trying to think of other things that he would be. Impulse, but alright, so Forbid, Counterspell, Decree, and and Adarkar Wastes. I think you kind of have to take the Decree, because if you don't, and Niels does not attack next turn, how big would this Decree be? For 5?
Yeah.
And then Niels never has to tap mana on his turn, and Gabe's dead pretty quick.
Right? Counterspell. I mean, I think I take Forbid before I take Counterspell here. I guess maybe you want him to buy it back.
Say, yeah, maybe you
be
want
under the rack again. Scrolls.
I don't
Scrolls
think I would
not awful.
This. I think I would just I think I would just go on the plan of decreeing here. I mean, I guess you could counter with Forbid. I certainly wouldn't Forbid with buyback, I guess. Okay. So here, so Niels will take
more
1
points of damage.
But yeah, you could play the land, and then the Decree will replace itself because of cycling, so...
Just leave it all up, yep. Yeah, Jared in the chat, I feel like we're thinking the same thing on this one. But, I mean, Gabe is still doing damage every turn.
I guess I'm trying to think what Gabe's best draw is. Another rack, probably.
Yeah, but a resolved rack, how many points do we think he ends up dealing? I mean,
that's okay.
Yeah.
Hypnotic Spectre is kind of, I mean, like, it helps. It deals 2 damage just by itself, and it helps make the rack deal more.
And he's still got that Faerie Conclave too.
Okay.
I guess. Oh, there's something. Oh, they're just making sure they can see each other.
I guess, so is this Hypnotic Spectre still on the stack? And Nils is debating what he wants to do?
I believe so.
I mean, with that Faerie Conclave, I guess this Hypnotic Spectre is not nearly as scary. But I guess it does block a 1/1 every turn if it's not attacking. That changes.
That's not a game that's not the game I really want to play, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Nils just cycled Decree, put 5 tokens into play, and then attacks like with the Mishra's Factory and leaves up Faerie Conclave for blocking, doesn't seem like there's a very good permutation that Gabe can take to get out of it. So
looks like that's a whole lot of soldiers.
Cross from cycling, untaps. We'll see if he's attacking with the land or not. I think I would, because then it's a 2-turn clock for sure. I guess it's you could just attack hit for 4 and then the next turn attack with both the lands, but he did take 1 damage from the rack again.
Yep.
But
Down to 9.
Chain of Vapor targeting the Hypnotic Spectre. Would you chain back off the token?
Not with those 3 lands. It seems bad. This board state just... This is Gabe's worst nightmare.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that Gabe can do from this point, so...
Yeah.
He will untap and draw a card. I'm guessing he's...
Just...
maybe he'll cast Hypnotic Spectre, but scooping up your cards would be a reasonable play.
If anybody can find his way out of it, it's Gabe, but I don't know. It seems rough.
Got to be some powerful 2 cards in his hand.
Sure.
And I guess one of them's a Hypnotic Spectre, so...
It's not going to do it.
I'm just trying to think of like Magic cards in general that would get him out of the situation.
Potato.
Yeah, maybe I bet. I mean, like he's still. Blake Splitter wouldn't deal him until Gabe's upkeep.
Oh, there's the fact.
Okay, just insult to injury. Gabe's best response should just say
scoop to the fact.
He should just say fiction and then scoop up his cards. I think that's his best play.
Yep. Yeah. That's
right.
That's what you say there. Into like, especially insult to injury, fact into another standstill. I mean, just brutal. Yeah, that's bad.
All right. Well, we are playing a best of 5, so there won't be any sideboarding for this game too. So I guess we'll just stay on this screen since the deck lists won't be changing. But Nils is now up a game.
I'll let them know they can probably just start whenever.
Sure. So I guess in that game, Gabe's start was pretty reasonable. I mean, he had a threat and then he had an early bottomless pit. And the bottomless pit stayed in play for a few turns.
Okay. I mean, threat and disruption into pit.
Yeah, he did clear out a seal of cleansing, so he was trying to create an avenue where the bottomless pit could take over the game. But it was not enough disruption. I guess maybe there were more pressure, because I think he was down, Nils was like down to 8 at the end of the turn. I guess like if that Carnophage were able to get in a few more times or something.
Yeah. I don't know if I would call this a meme deck. Somebody in chat is calling Gabe's deck a meme deck. I think that there might be something here. You know, Gabe comes up with some cool stuff, and you know, maybe this isn't the final version of it that we see, but I mean, it's hard to discount a bunch of aggro and disruption to get there.
Yeah, I mean, meme isn't certainly the adjective I would use, but I know, I feel like that word almost has no meaning anymore. People have different definitions for their own. So, yeah, I would call Gabe's deck is certainly a brew. He's certainly experimenting with a strategy.
Yeah.
But I guess I wouldn't consider it a meme deck, but to each his own.
Yeah, looking at the list, it's a pretty tried and true take on, you know, Suicide Black with the addition of some new strategies that help it against some of the decks that we see often in the meta.
Sure. I mean, I like Oath is a card that I consider like really good against the Suicide Black deck because once it comes down, you can't just do anything. But at least Gabe has like a backup plan. We saw him kind of execute it, just never playing a creature and trying to win with the rack and the bottomless pit, and he found a way. So
Cool.
maybe the change of cards allows some different strategies and can open up some avenues to win some matchups that Suicide Black wouldn't be otherwise able to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree that like Pit and Hippie or turn one Pit, Hippie, or Negator are really good plays for Gabe. But like the thing is, like the blue white deck, it with like Impulse and Swords to Plowshares, like Impulse to find Swords to Plowshares and whatnot. Sometimes like a turn one Negator is not enough against the blue white Landstill because there are a number of ways to remove it, and even like a Mishra's Factory can block and pump itself and make you sack 3 permanents could be kind of problematic for the Negator.
Yep.
But
I actually really like a turn one like Dark Ritual into a few 2/2s.
sure.
A Dothy and a Carnophage, or a Dothy, so any of the the Carnophage and a Horror, Carnophage and a Slayer, Carnophage and a Shade, Duress and any 2-drop.
Yep.
Yeah, so long as Swords exists, I don't think first turn Negator is entirely safe.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like
you go for it if you've got it.
Yeah, it's not like Gabe's going to be opposed to do it. But, all right, so I think that's Gabe's hand. It only looks like 1 card, but I'm guessing it's 7 cards just stacked on top of each other. So, guessing he's content with his opening 7. And did Nils take a mulligan, or was he just slower to shuffle up? I guess we'll find out. Okay, so Nils is thinking about his hand. I guess there's a lot of different. Okay, so he was mulliganing. So...
1.
Oh, is this a mulligan to 5? Must be. I guess I was not paying attention to the. Oh no, he just was double checking on that one card.
Yep.
He put 1 card down.
Is
and
it
then,
really that one?
Thought again. I'm like, man, I really not paying attention.
We've got the first turn ritual into. Okay, ritual into pit.
All right. Hope Nils didn't keep a 1-lander.
Oh man.
Swords to Plowshares.
Okay. Swords, the most played card in Premodern, as we've covered a lot recently.
Which is weird because I don't feel like there's as many like white decks. But I mean, I guess whenever
there's a lot of splash white.
Sure. So Flooded Strand passes the play for Nils, so I mean that's typically what he's gonna be doing the first few turns is land go. I guess Standstill is something he could play early, but which I guess like is actually really good against like if Gabe doesn't have any pressure, if Nils just goes land Standstill, that's really good against bottomless pit, actually.
Yeah. Okay. 2-drop shadow. Yeah.
The Dothy Horror.
Yep. Creature Dothy Horror.
Mine only says summon beast. So
yeah.
I'm just looking at the art and looking at the bottom of it, it almost looks like he's just like in a bath. like
Yeah.
like he's like sitting in a hot tub. I like to imagine like you like finish out your workout and you go into the hot tub and across the way is the Dothy horror. I might get a little
This
more
is
uncomfortable.
this is the other side of the Foglio art for Sulphur
For Sulphur
Springs. this is what the demon's looking at.
My gym membership. I might be looking to switch gyms if this is who I have to face is the Sulphur Springs guy and the Dothy horror in my.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
All right, so Gabe's able to clock Nils with his Dothy horror, and gonna follow it up with thinking about it. Taps and untaps a swamp.
Single swap Dark Ritual or Duress or another Carnophage. Carnophage. Oh, 2 for another horror.
So I guess he had to debate whether to play a 1-drop. So we'll see. Oh, I guess we'll find out just next turn when he discards the Defilement Pit. So it's not really worth me trying to guess. So
Right.
Adarkar Waste is randomly discarded. So 2 lands have been taken out of Niels' hand. So I mean, the deck plays a lot of lands, but it certainly could be a problem if Niels is discarding all his early land drops and isn't able to play stuff. But he does have a Dust Bowl, which is probably the last land he would choose to play from his hand because it's probably the least valuable.
Discards another pit.
All right, so I don't know what that tapping the 1 land was for. Oh, I guess Nils hasn't taken damage yet.
Nils has taken 2.
Well, I meant like for this attack, I put him down 4 right away.
Oh, sure.
There's a potential of a Sword of Plowshares here. First, we're going to start with Impulse. And then he will take the full 4.
Oof.
So Gabe hits his 3rd land, so pretty much anything he can play off the top.
Yep. Take that middle.
There's a Standstill. Okay. I think Nils is okay with discarding that one in this position, because I think Gabe would be pretty content to stay.
He does hit a 4th land, and it is a white source.
Okay, so Wrath of God is
super relevant.
But yeah, not in his hand, so
yeah.
I would have to imagine he'd be casting it here.
Yeah. Gets in again.
That just seems like really the card that Nils needs here is Wrath of God. I mean, Factor Fiction would be really good right here, but I imagine you could 4-1 a Factor Fiction with a Wrath of God.
Oh yeah.
And then you still have a decent chance of just discarding. Oh no! So we're just going to upkeep. No fact. So Island is discarded. Yeah, I mean this seems pretty tough for Nils to get out of because like any of his card draw isn't very effective at like keeping the because like Factor Fiction. I'm guessing Wrath would get 4-1'd. You'd have to take the 1 card and Impulse. It's just gonna be
just a 1.
Yeah, and then you go to your upkeep and you have a 50% chance of discarding it. So
and he's never going to play a Standstill in this position.
All right, there's a counterspell for the Curse Scroll that Gabe had.
I mean, holding on, but
it's got to be Wrath here, I think, because too many of his lands he'll take damage from otherwise. Nope. I have, because yeah, even here this attack for 4.
Yeah,
but we'll
he's got an attack for
and
then he can't ever Wrath. I mean, this one's over.
Yeah, he can't ever use his Flooded Strand. He uses Adarkar Wastes for colored mana. But
what do you?
All right.
Oh no!
It was close.
Oh, scoop! So you don't even have to see it. Just brutal.
He tried. He tried to come up, but just a card short. Yep. So
All right.
the Bathing Dothy Horrors take down game two with the help of
Yeah,
Bottomless
so now
Pit.
we've got sideboards.
Yes. All right. Let me bring those up, and we can digest and maybe anticipate what the players are going to do. So I have the blue-white Landstill. A
Sure.
card like Annul. I don't know. I guess there already was one in the main. I don't even know how, because it hits Curse Scroll and Bottomless Pit, but it's pretty bad against all the other cards. Uh, I mean, Disenchant, I would imagine, would come in, and Powder Keg seems good. Exalted Angel seems very powerful. A card like Aura of Silence is fine. Uh,
Yeah, his sideboard just doesn't seem to really have a lot of game against Gabe and what Gabe's doing.
I like Powder Keg, I think. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to get, like, too many cards at once, but in a situation like we just saw, it's an out.
If you can powder cake for 2 with a
I
bunch
mean,
of shadows on the board.
Powder Kegging for one is pretty good because, like, you might get a Crystal Scroll and a rack, but
Yeah, I mean, it's totally dependent on what's on the board. There's a lot of stuff that Gabe wants to have on the board that costs 3 as well. So seems all right.
I think actually the other Chain of Vapor might come into play because of just like a card like Dark Ritual. If you're putting Hypnotic Spectre, Negator, Bottomless Pit into play, just bouncing it back into your hand could buy you a lot of time because it's not like a sure thing that Gabe's going to have 3 mana on turn 3 anyway. So that could really delay that, and you get a little bit of card advantage when they use a Dark Ritual for it. So
Yeah.
so I will bring up Gabe's deck list. Let's see how he improves. So Diabolic Edict doesn't seem good. I mean it does something because like the manlands are kind of important sometimes, but I don't think I would bring those in. And Withered Wretch is a body, but the ability doesn't seem relevant. Dystopia, permanents that would stay in play. I mean, like Seal Cleansing or Aura Silence doesn't seem like the most effective way to get rid of them. But
I actually think it might be the powder kegs for Gabe as well. Just being able to have a powder keg with 0 around.
yeah, because it would destroy activated Mishra's Factory and would allow your creatures to come back in, or it's a good protection against Decree of Justice, which is the main way that Nils is going to win. And like Nils already kind of has to use a lot of his artifact destruction on cards, which is also enchantment destruction on cards like the Rack or Bottomless Pit.
Yeah.
So it's not always something that Nils might have the luxury to use on a Powder Keg.
Yeah. I think powder keg is my go-to here.
Do you take out like Snuff Outs?
Yeah, maybe. It's depending on if I think he's going to put that angel in.
Okay.
I think I would probably take out the snuff outs and just bet that like one angel in his deck isn't as much of a worry as all of his 0 mana dudes.
Well, Powder Keg could get a morphed Exalted Angel if Niels isn't careful. So
Fair enough.
just looking at these sideboards, who do you think improves more?
I think Gabe improves more
Okay.
just with the powder keg, but honestly,
It's pretty marginal, I think, for both players.
it's pretty marginal. Yeah.
I would.
I think both these lists are like if you were going to build a gauntlet and you wanted just two decks to play against each other, I think this is a really fun matchup.
Sure. I mean, the Bottomless Pit is all like it changes the dynamic of the games a lot of times. Like the games are going to feel very different because there obviously is just so much natural randomness in it. So it's a really interesting card to play against from both perspectives.
Yeah.
So chat is debating if, I guess not necessarily if Niels had a standstill in that last game, but whether he should have played it into the Dothy Horror. I don't think you really would want to play it because Gabe is pretty happy to play draw go with a Dothy Horror in play and a Bottomless Pit against a standstill. Like Niels is going to have to break that eventually. Like his
Yep.
Mishra's Factory is not going to be able to block the Dothy Horror. So Niels is going to be forced to take action at some point. All right, so we have our players shuffling up for game number 3, our first sideboard game, and Niels will be on the play. So both games, the player that was on the play had won. We'll see if that trend continues. Gabe just doing a 3-card pile shuffle. I don't know how often
it's
we've
Gabe.
talked about pile shuffling on stream, but I just don't do it anymore.
Me either. It's Gabe though, so you know if he's doing a 3-card pile shuffle, he's statistically analyzed it to make sure that's optimal.
Sure.
So
I'm
sure there's a theory.
Optimal for what? I don't know. That's the
I
problem.
don't know.
I guess it's optimal to. I don't know. Well,
You got to ask Gabe. He's the expert.
I mean, I guess I would argue is he like present? Is that how he's presenting? I would argue like that is not a legal shuffle. If like you pile shuffle and then just present, I don't think that's legal. If we want to get technical about things, so.
I'm not his opponent.
But all right, so the players will debate their opening hands. We'll see if either player is sending them back for a mulligan. I think it's a little more clear what Gabe is looking for in his opening hand is a way to either apply quick pressure or disruption, while Niels is can. I mean, if pretty much if he has stuff to do in the early turns, I think he's usually making land drops is probably the thing he needs to do most.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of draws that I would keep. Definitely any with a Dark Ritual in Gabe's deck.
Right, there's a negator. It is facing down a plane, so I don't know if that's.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Is saying that there's a
he grabs his hand immediately. That tells me. Are we? Does this get swords right now? That negator hit the table, and Nils immediately grabbed that hand. I think it would have hit already.
Well, I'm trying to think what if you did have a swords in your hand. Well, because if he doesn't have a swords,
it looks like he does.
He would just untap, or he would just draw his card. So
somebody's got to tell Nils that he tips his hand.
I guess you could let him know in chat.
Yeah.
But I wonder what the rest of his hand would be that he's considering leaving a turn 1 negator in play. Because that's really the information there, right?
Right.
All right. Gabe gains 5 life, so. All right, so Nils will go get a land, presumably an island, and then we'll cast Seal of Cleansing. So he kind of has all his bases covered. I mean, you answered the big threat on turn 1, and now he has an answer to, I guess it could be the rack, but I'm thinking Bottomless Pit.
We're going to get a 2-drop out of Gabe.
This time it's the Dothy Slayer. Nils will just add a Faerie Conclave, and then he'll pass a turn. So the Dothy gets to work. We'll take Nils down to 17. We got the tap one swamp. And
one
pump
tap.
fake. All right, we
Okay.
have the rack. I don't think I mean, I don't think I care about this right
And
now.
another.
Here's a
Carnophage.
Carnophage. Okay.
Very nice. This is a lot of pressure. Oh. Amazing.
Wasteland takes out a Faerie Conclave, so Gabe has
feeling good.
puts the pressure and the disruption. Disrupting the mana base is really good. I guess so. Nils has a Mishra's Factory right away afterwards, so
yeah,
that's a good response with the Carnophage. It won't block this
pretty
turn.
Huge.
But Gabe will pay a life down to 24 to keep his Carnophage untapped, and he'll attack for 4.
Yeah, this is the safe turn to do it. You're happy to make that trade.
Mm-hmm. Here's Hypnotic Spectre. If this isn't answered, then it's definitely problematic unless there's like a Wrath of God or something.
How many cards does Nils have in his hand right now?
Got a number, I think. I want to say 4 or 5, but because I guess he's played 2 cards, so it should be 6, right? Well, he was on the play, so it should be 5 then. No, it'd be 6.
Okay. Well, here's
or 5.
Second. Oh, he passed his turn. So
that doesn't.
I'm going to go ahead and guess he does not have Wrath in his hand.
So I guess if he has like Factor Fiction, is that something that he needs to play? Because I mean, I guess maybe he also could have Impulse. Here's a Duress.
Oh boy. This is exactly the start that Gabe wants to see.
Yes, this is just the right amount of aggression and disruption.
He has to have Factor now, right?
He could have Impulse, I think.
Yeah, he's just considering it so strongly.
I guess the downside to Fact is you take an extra 2 points of damage from the Carnophage.
Fair. I feel like we see a Fact here. It's so much better to do it before the duress resolves, so you get to have a little bit more information that you have hidden. If he knows your hand, it's so much easier to pick those piles. Yeah, there it is.
All right, so the Factor Fiction, we have a Plains, a Chain of Vapor, Adarkar Wastes, Impulse, and Factor Fiction.
Yep. Not the Fact he wanted to see here.
Yeah, is Gabe like afraid of any of these cards? I guess, I mean, like, it might be better than just seeing like one good card and Because there's a duress still on the stack, so. I'm not even going to try and anticipate how this is going to get split, so I'll just sit back and wait.
Comical flop. I went ahead and ordered my my white border dark rits because I didn't have enough of them. Just
Is that the 5th edition or revised?
5th edition. And white bordered duresses. No, all Gabe Farkas.
Inspiring people all across the world. So I mean, I guess like it's pretty reasonable to have white bordered hypnotic specters, and once you have a 1 white bordered card, I'm usually to say, all right, then more can come in. So it's usually that or City of Brass that makes me play more white bordered cards. So
right. Okay, so it was. I didn't see what the. So took a fact again. Again, not a great fact for Nils. Yeah, I'll snap take that as well.
it was Impulse versus 2 Chain of Vapors and 2 lands.
Yeah, it seems.
So I mean, those Chain of Vapors will buy Nils sometime, so.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to have something for creatures at this point.
I guess it doesn't buy him that much time. I guess he's already at 6, so. But the Impulse doesn't really. He needs to find Wrath of God pretty much, so.
Yeah. Oh, and then turns around and gets one of those.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I have something here. This is such a great match. This is. There's so many interesting lines that we can see.
This seems really tough for Nils to come out. I guess there's so there's a second plane. So the Chain of Vapor is going to get a creature, but then I think Gabe doesn't even play it.
Yeah.
And then if there is a Wrath of God, then. So I think you don't target the Hypnotic Spectre with this Chain of Vapor. Because that one's the hardest to answer post Wrath. Because I think you would target the Carnophage.
I don't know. I like taking that. I like taking the hippie because it's the hardest to cast. You tie up that mana.
Yeah, but okay, so Gabe, if Nils is going to 2, Nils needs to draw Wrath of God. So assuming that Nils does draw Wrath of God, Gabe will play a creature the next turn.
Sure.
And if it's Hypnotic Spectre, that's the one that Nils has the least amount of answers to. Like it's gonna fly over a Mishra's factory. So I think I would have targeted the Carnophage, but
maybe.
So Gabe is debating whether he wants to sacrifice a land to bounce the Seal Cleansing.
Okay. No, I wouldn't give him another chance to bounce anything else.
Oh, I guess I didn't consider that the Mishra's factory blocking right now. All right, never mind. That one I said doesn't necessarily apply.
There you go. Yeah, if you give him a chance to block, or give him a chance to bounce something else, now he can block 1 threat and he's bounced 2 more.
All right, so Hypnotic Spectre comes down, so pretty much needs to be a Wrath of God. Seal Cleansing takes out the rack, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still playing.
Yeah, he's frozen on my screen.
Oh, he's still moving on mine. Swords to Plowshares, I guess, would buy you a turn. Well, Nils is still playing, so.
Oh, there we go. Now he's live for me again. All right.
I mean,
Yep. Okay, he's got the swords.
There's the Swords of Plowshares. Okay, so Gabe will go up to 22. Nils will go down to 2. So now it needs to be Swords or Wrath of God for this Dothy Slayer. Would you play another threat? I guess it depends on what it would be.
Yeah, I'd.
Oh, well, that one I
Oh
for sure
my.
would play.
Yeah, I'd play that for sure.
Okay, Adarkar Wastes is discarded. And it's another
There it
Adarkar
is.
Waste, so
There's
Gabe takes down game number 3.
Yeah, good. Honestly, impressive recovery by Nils to not just get blown out there. That was. He had the answers. He was answering every time as soon as it came up. But
Yeah, I mean, he was under a lot of pressure and still was fighting tooth and nail to get just hang on to those last points of life. I guess because once you do really turn the corner with the blue-white Landstill deck, especially against a deck that doesn't have reach, I guess it has Curse Scroll, but cards like Bolt, like bread decks,
right.
that you feel a lot safer. Though the shadow creatures are kind of like delayed burn spells. I mean, I guess the Wrath of Gods and Swords of Plowshares do answer them, but they're pretty hard to interact with, so they're kind of like burn spells. So,
but I mean, let's face it, he's only got 3 Wraths in the whole deck. There's none in the sideboard. He has no way to tutor for it, so the only way to get there is, card draw or having it in hand. Getting around a rack or getting around a bottomless pit while you do it is
sure,
not easy. Rich Bork providing the information that we all need. I've pronounced that wrong for
I'm not
20
sure
years.
if he's serious or if he's joking, but I probably will still say Adarkar just out of habit.
No,
So,
if it's Rich, it's some obscure piece of magic knowledge that he has that nobody else does.
all right, Adarkar is someone's last name. I do like that reminder. I guess if it were phrased in a different way, that is a good way for me to remember a dark car.
Yeah.
All right, so we had talked about that we liked like the blue white Landstill deck on paper, but do you like it enough if it's down a game and needs to win 2 back to back?
Ooh.
I mean, my gut says
I don't
no.
know.
So
No.
but
No, I think that Gabe has to be favored at this point when he's only got to win one more. This is what we talked about. This deck is no slouch.
all right. So
Historically bad matchup for blue-white, actually. Suicide Black is a rough one to, get around. Especially the zombie heavy version really has a lot of game against blue-white Standstill. That's what Gabe does, Rich. That's what Gabe does.
all right, now we're going in 7 piles.
I'm telling you, there's some statistical purpose for everything Gabe does.
I don't think that's true in this case.
I wouldn't go that far, sir. Don't discount Sly against blue-white control. Yeah. Winter Orb needs to be played in more aggro decks.
Yeah, I mean, I like it in the really aggressive decks. There are a lot of times though that like there's a bunch of matchups where you don't want to play Winter Orb though.
Sure.
So it's you can get a lot of advantage of having it in the main, but sometimes it feels like a sideboard card.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone was asking about how the mono black deck keeps winning. I would argue that Bottomless Pit has done a lot of work in this entire matchup and really has forced Nils to kind of be playing a different game than he usually wants to. The draw, go, and react to everything is a lot harder when you're discarding random cards every turn.
Oh. Yeah, we see Gabe going down to 6. Yeah, Mike, the huge key for mono black against blue white, I think, is post sideboard. There's so much hate against red in those two colors. There's so many great options. I think black just doesn't offer a clear sideboard choice to hate against it. It is the thing I want to see the least when I'm playing blue white. Well, and increasingly elves. Holy cow.
Okay, so Gabe is going to try again, looking at a new hand to keep 6.
Yep.
So he's probably looking for an explosive start like he's had in pretty much every game. I guess, was it the first game where it was just, I guess he had a turn 2 Ritual in the Rack or Bottomless Pit.
Ritual Pit on
Yeah.
turn 2. Yeah, with a threat on the board already.
Yeah. I think all of his opening draws have been pretty explosive. So Gabe does put 1 back, so he's kept 6 cards on the draw. Nils will just lead off with an island. So what's the start that Gabe will have for us? So a rack. So that's probably the worst like turn of doing something for Gabe's deck, right? Because it's not like the rack does anything of importance right now.
Right.
It's
now we see 2
pressure.
blue up.
Yeah, Curse Scroll is probably pretty equivalent, but so island.
Oh.
So Gabe's gonna try and play a long game, so we'll see how this goes. Different than what we've seen in the previous 3. You gotta like this opening for Nils, is how things have developed.
Yeah, Gabe's really got to pressure that early game.
Yeah, because if you sneak a 2-power creature in and then go every turn of present a threat, have it get countered, present a threat, have it get countered,
yeah,
you're dealing 2 every time. Well, here you're just, if your spell is getting countered, you're not getting in for any damage.
So Nils passes turn. I think that was the turn where you really question looking at things. If you have the standstill, do you play it now or do you try to keep your blue mana open?
So we see the secret. So Gabe starts with Wasteland and then plays Duress. So Nils does know that there's a Wasteland potentially. So a lot of presented information here that because I don't know what the benefit of. I guess the benefit of playing the Wasteland there is so if you had Ritual, you could play around Disrupt or Force Spike. But I think in general, because you're not playing around Mana Leak either way, I think I would have kept the Wasteland in my hand first. But
I mean, you can pay 1 for Force Spike or Disrupt with the Wasteland and still have your black open to do
Okay.
the ritual next.
Sure.
Something like that. I just wonder what's... We're seeing a long pause from Nils here.
Yeah, so if he's
Gonna
debating,
resolve.
could be any form of counter magic or a card like Impulse.
Yeah.
Disrupt. I guess that will draw a card regardless of whether Gabe pays or not.
Just 1 mana your way to victory. Disrupt. Get your card. Force Spike.
So I guess here is this Wasteland getting tapped to pay for it? No, the Swamp is. Okay.
Okay, then I don't understand playing the Wasteland.
Yeah. Now this duress should resolve. Wait, oh, there's still another counter spell. I'm like, okay. So Nils will take a damage, and
Interesting.
so I mean, for that sequence, like
It's a weird line.
Gabe could have Wastelanded first, then go to second main, and then gone for that line, and Nils would not have had the option of double counterspelling.
I'll be curious to ask Gabe later what.
And he doesn't use the Wasteland, so he's keeping it around.
Yeah. I mean, there's a better Wasteland target.
I mean, taking him off a white mana isn't bad.
Yeah, fair enough.
Comical Flop is not a fan of the Weatherlight art for Disrupt. I don't mind this art. I think I probably like the Invasion one a little bit better, but I think it looks like a beekeeper.
I feel like I like both, but I feel like the Weatherlight Disrupt was, for me, a huge part of. That was the first time I saw Disrupt was the Weatherlight art, and it's super nostalgic.
Sure.
But the Invasion art is probably objectively better.
Is that true for any art? Objectively better.
Well, I mean, Invasion had great art. Invasion was super strong in the arts. Beekeeper versus Phyrexian Portal. Well, actually,
All right. Meanwhile, we have. I'm too focused on art. We've got a Jockey Horn that's been added to the board, and Nils has played a number of lands. So the Wasteland has not been used yet. But I want to know what the game plan is for Gabe. Is he saving that for a Mishra's Factory? Is he saving it because he'll need it to use for his own mana? All right, now we get to activation.
Yeah, this will be a good one. Activate on what?
The Faerie Conclave? Okay.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm that afraid of the Faerie Conclave. I guess it blocks creatures, but it's kind of expensive to activate, and I don't know. I feel like taking him off a white mana might be more valuable, even if it's just for a semi-short period of time.
Yeah.
Right, so Mishra's Factory does come down after the Wasteland, so...
It's 2 times it's happened, right?
I mean, I certainly wouldn't... I wouldn't even say it's a coincidence. It could be how Nils has played things, given if he saw it that he didn't want to expose it. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's very likely. All right, we got a duress. I don't know how many cards. Neil still has a number of cards in his hand, so there is 2 decrees. One will be taken, and then 2 other lands.
Yeah.
So now the decision for Niels is when does he want to use this decree? You could use it. If you used it this turn, you'd get 2 tokens, and you could start attacking with the Mishra's Factory for 4 a turn. It looks like he will hold off at least 1 more turn.
Yeah, he's not in any danger sitting at 15.
Yeah.
His deck is very aggressive, but it's not exactly explosive. It's not going to blow you out suddenly when you aren't expecting it. So 15 is a really safe life total.
All right. Well, he'll attack for 2, so I'm guessing that the decree is still going to stay in his hand for a number of turns.
Yeah.
So he'll add more lands to the board. It'll be more potent in future turns.
But with 1 decree already discarded, do you feel safe doing that, given how much discard is in Gabe's deck? You really want to be able to get it out. In my mind, like, even if I'm just going to do it for 2 or 3, I want to hit it.
All right, so
if that gets duressed away, I'm going to feel bad.
Sure, but that is the second duress that had been played, so I don't.
I mean, or pit, or hippied,
Sure.
or
Those you have a little bit of time to react to, though.
fair.
So Dothihor will prompt Niels to fetch a plains. What does that mean he's casting? It could just be he's resolving and he's gonna have, if he has Wrath of God, I don't. But all right, he will impulse first.
Okay.
Okay, I guess this gives him the option so that he could counterspell or still have Swords of Plowshares at end of turn.
Yeah. Gabe's still just got so many cards in hand too.
Well, he's used his Wasteland, so I don't know if he has 3 drops or if he's just trying to play it slow. Because I mean, the shadow creatures do need to be answered. So Niels has his life total at 12. I must have missed an attack. Or
The
maybe
Chemical Flop, there's only the 1 mana leak in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess
Right.
that's what was cut for some of the one-ofs that he's playing of the Force Spike, Annul, and Disrupt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the unique thing about this deck.
Right.
And I don't hate it.
No. And like Neil said, he was trying stuff, so he didn't by any means say that he had an optimal list. He was just experimenting. All right, so Impulse was nearly resolved, and then it looked like Niels at least thought about changing his mind. I don't know if he did switch the cards. But so this Dothihor does resolve.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a Wrath of God? How is Niels planning on racing this? So if he just has land and make 4 guys, I don't know if you win that race. Because
not where you're at right now.
Gabe would attack, put him to 8, and then you'd attack for 6.
Attacking for 2 more a turn.
Well,
but
Niels would be able to attack with the 4 tokens and then the Mishra's Factory,
right.
so he'd be able to attack 6. So he would need 3 attacks, while Gabe would need only 2 more.
Right.
But a card like Swords to Plowshares would really change the math there.
So here we go. I think we're going to see the decree. Yeah, he had to be looking for that wrath before he decreed.
Yeah, that would be.
I think he's just being pressed to the
Yeah.
point where he's not going to have an option.
I mean, I guess it could be Fact Fictioneer, or Okay, so Factor Fiction.
Okay.
So Coastal Tower, Factor Fiction, Standstill, Swords to Plowshares,
Okay.
Mishra's Factory. So I think he's very interested in the Swords to Plowshares. Would you 4-1 it?
Yep. I'd give him the coastal tower with it. Just a
I might give him the Standstill instead, but
yeah, there you go. Ooh.
is that the pile or is that? I mean, I would happily take Swords and Mishra's Factory.
Yeah.
Those,
Those are the two he wants the most right now.
yeah, I was to say
Actually, he probably wants the fact as well.
maybe, but yeah, the Mishra's Factory definitely helps if just exiling one of the creatures and then really can contribute to like racing Gabe.
How strong do you feel fact?
Okay, those are in separate
Oh,
piles, I think.
okay, okay.
Well, I think a swords is in one pile, and okay, yes, I think he's splitting the piles, and swords was in one pile, and factory was in the other.
Ooh, is it like that? I'll take fact and swords.
Yeah, I think to me that seems. Cause do we know if Nils still has another land in hand? I guess we don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. Just taking the swords in
Yeah.
the
Yeah, swords a horror.
and that buys
Next
you a
turn
lot of time.
fact. Well,
And
next turn main phase fact. Like
yeah, just getting rid of the creature allows you the time to play the other factor fiction. So I don't think I'm very happy. I don't. I would if I were Niels, I would be very happy with I think that split.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's an instant take as soon as Gabe says those are the piles. Oh, and we see an engineered plague. Soldiers?
Could be human, I guess, is the other thing.
Or
But
yeah, human.
well, because I don't know if
Soldiers.
because my this card's been errated, but Dothy Slayer on its printed text says summon soldier.
It
So
does.
I want to see. I'm gonna look up the oracle on this. Someone had pointed this out in chat, and I didn't think it was going to come into play. It is a Dothy soldier, so his Dothy Slayer will be a 1/1 if he casts it. So I think human is a better name because I don't think there are any humans in Gabe's deck.
Yikes.
Yeah, I guess Rich does point out that you can just actually
You
cast
can make
Decree
4/4s.
Justice.
Yeah.
That is the alternate mode of Decree. Is just you can just
Like, oh yeah, people still can do that.
make angels.
I haven't seen anyone do it, but it can happen.
I'm gonna double check. I'm gonna assume that Dothy Horror is not a soldier, but
No, I think it is a horror. Dothy horror is Dothy horror.
yes, it is now Dothy Horror. Well, because I think it was a beast on its original
Right.
printing. So
Yeah, the Slayer is a soldier.
there's a Chain of Vapor that's targeting the Dothy Horror. Yeah, because I don't think this Engineer Plague really does it. Yeah, because Niels can just make 4/4s. But okay, so he'll want to. Okay.
Ooh.
He's not attacking with the
super interesting now.
not attacking with the Mistress Factory. I mean, this team seems really good for Niels.
Yeah.
So Gabe will break the Standstill with the Dothy Horror.
Man,
I
that's
mean,
what Nils wanted to see.
Even if there's not an answer in these three cards, Factor Fiction can get cast, and it's pretty likely that something of value is going to be in that Factor Fiction. So
Yeah.
Nils is at 10. I guess I missed an attack here.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5 turns is a lot against this
Okay, so
blue-white deck.
he does not answer that now.
For
Scroll.
This might be a card he's interested in answering.
Yeah, that's going to get an answer. He's got less ways to deal with it.
Well, Gabe has 2 cards in hand, so I mean, like, if he's drawing a card every turn and using scroll, like right now, it would take a few turns for that scroll to become a effective source of damage, a consistent source. Yep. So I can see it's harder to decipher of like how much damage this curse scroll actually represents, but so I could see this letting this resolve.
Yeah. Again, he's still at 10 life. He's not in grave danger. He doesn't have to play in desperation mode. He can make the safe bet play here. Gabe's down to 2 cards in hand. Nils has played around the rack super effectively.
I think that's one thing that Landstill just. I mean, when it's winning, it does a pretty good job of playing around the rack. So,
oh, for sure. But I mean, the rack, we've seen it be super relevant and get its damage in there in games better than I thought it would. So that's super fair. A lot of thinking.
I mean, the thing is, like, to me, I guess I would be leaning towards not countering this. I guess the reason is it's unlikely that you're using this 2 mana at the end of the turn. And so now it's like a bigger deal. Just because, to me, the Curse Scroll doesn't represent that much damage in the immediate. And I think you could just close out the game pretty quickly with these Angels. Like, I don't know if on this turn if he would have... So if he needed to make 2 Angels, it would be 8 mana. How close is he to that?
Very close.
It would be this turn. So, like...
I mean, throw down 1 more and you got it. I think we know that he has some in his hand.
And you could present a 2-turn clock if, like, as the board stands with 2 Angels and a Mishra's Factory. That's 10 and 10.
What do we see here? We're going to Wrath.
Okay.
Wrathing for the 1.
Nils does have to take a damage. So it was an attack that put him to 8, and then a damage from his land. So I guess Nils' life total is getting a little bit of concern, but
yeah,
I don't know. I still like his chances in this spot. He won't be able to factor fiction right now. Well, he hasn't played a land this turn. So, okay, there is an island. This is another standstill.
And another standstill. He starts to put together the board state that he wants. No creatures in play. How many cards does he have in hand? Is it just the 2? He didn't go through all those cards already, did he? Played a land, played a wrath, played standstill.
It does look like only 2 cards, I guess.
Yeah.
But
because that's going to start being scary.
Well,
he does leave 2 blue mana open.
Yeah.
He does have the man lands. But that, the Adarkar Waste starts, see, Rich, I can pronounce it. The waste starts to look a little scary at 7. He really wants another way to make white mana.
All right, Hypnotic Spectre will break the standstill, and
and so that's good. Going into his turn, he gets around that. He gets to counter it. Oh, it resolves. Doesn't have to worry about the rack though.
I mean, if you just make Angels here, Hypnotic Spectre's not very good.
Just tap 8 and go for it.
Like, if you tap out here, what are you most afraid of Gabe doing? Bottomless pit? I don't.
Not really.
Another shadow
Uh,
creature? Probably that.
Probably a shadow creature, but I don't know.
You do have factor fiction. I don't know. Like, I don't know how many plows we've gone through, but I mean,
I think you do it. There he goes. There's all 8 tapped.
takes a damage.
Yep.
2 angels, please. Gabe was maybe hoping that he was cycling main phase.
Yeah, cycle into the engineered plague.
Not very majestic 4/4s. They look just as the same as the lowly 1/1s, but they might be enough to get the job done here. Gabe could have Keg in hand. That is true. Though one thing that's kind of tipping when we looked at the sideboard, given that Gabe's chosen to bring in engineered plague, to me that seems like he would not bring in powder keg. Like,
Right.
I
You
feel like
do one or the other.
maybe he brought in like 3 kegs and then also wanted one more plague, but that seems like a lot of very reactive from a deck that should be the aggressor. But yeah,
Yeah, and
powder keg
I
would
don't
be a
think he
color
has
to live
stuff
with.
that he wants to take out bad enough to put that much in. Hmm.
All right, Sarah
Okay, okay.
Angels. There does it justice. I wonder, did Niels have to get
I
up
just
to go get those?
Gabe told him, no. I've seen those tokens. Those are soldier tokens. I demand angel tokens, sir.
The tokens do not have vigilance though,
Correct.
which is somewhat relevant here. It could come into play, but all right, 3 mana. What's Gabe gonna answer with? A Phyrexian Negator.
Okay.
That
It was the first thing that popped into my head when you said, what are you most afraid of here? I still don't know that I love it. I mean, you can double block and just make misery for him.
yeah. If I mean, like at worst or worst, like at worst comes to worst for Niels, he's just not attacking with
I mean,
both of
block
these
with a
symbols.
factory. Oh gosh, another
Yeah.
factory. Wow. I mean, block with a factory and an angel and make him kill one or the other and make him sacrifice everything.
All right, so Niels is contemplating how he wants to attack. There's a lot of different things he can do
Right.
in terms
He
of.
sure can.
I mean, I don't think you're activating these manlands to attack, given that there's a negator now. I mean, actually, there is merit to attacking with Mishra's Factory because if the negator blocks, you could pump it, and he has to sack 3 permanents. But 1 angel, it looks like we're coming in with. Yes,
Okay.
Rich, the deck lists are open for the top 8, so players do know their 75s of their opponent. So 1 Sarah Angel hits, so Gabe falls to 16. Nils is at 6
I think that's
life. So, but I still like Nils' chances here.
Do you swing in with both? Make him use the angel to block. Oh, I mean, he's got the conclave as well. I mean,
Mhm.
that's bad math any way you look at it.
Negator does have a drawback, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, a couple of factories, angel. This is a real rough spot.
Alright, Gabe will try and cast a duress. Guessing this will prompt a factor fiction, but
Yeah.
maybe that. Yeah, I think Nils has enough
Well,
lands that.
I mean, I want him tapping down lands if I'm Gabe right now. I don't want him to be able to activate all the man lands
Yeah, but
for blocks here.
he can still activate Faerie Conclave, activate a Vicious
Two.
Factory, and pump them both with this mana. So we have Annul, Seal Cleansing, Factor Fiction, Coastal Tower, and
Yikes.
Disenchant.
This seems good.
I mean, I don't even know if Niels is really looking for anything here, but
No. I mean, this is going to be one of those take the bigger pile kind of facts.
all right. So Gabe will try to figure out how he's got to put these, but I don't know. I think Factor Fiction is probably the most exciting card here. I mean, like the Disenchants and Annuls, I don't think are really needed. I guess you could say like maybe from Niels' perspective, Annul is maybe a card if he's worried about something like Powder Keg. That might be the the card that Niels is actually interested the most. But
No, Rich, you do the 5-0 split with
against
with a
Psychoton.
vice.
Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I there was some strategic options when a Black Vice was in play, and I think the 5
Yeah.
split was correct. What pile do you think you're going to take here?
I take the other fact. I know I just said take the bigger pile, but I'll take a fact and a seal.
I think I was going to take a null.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it will be a
Like
little bit telling of like whether Gabe has Powder Keg in his deck. Some disenchants.
yikes.
I mean, you just take a null here, right?
You don't love it any which way you look at this. It's like I'm not afraid of your threats.
Takes a disenchant. I don't understand that. I mean, Gabe knows whether he has Powder Keg or not in his deck, but
Right.
I don't think you need to disenchant either of these cards in play. And a null will answer any future artifact or enchantment.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah. That play makes me think that Gabe did not board in Powder Keg.
I agree.
Because how good does that feel? You drop a Powder Keg on the table right now. You declare your attack.
Yes. I guess Niels would activate a one Mishra's Factory and then ask to go to blocks and then he'd activate it and then he would be able to activate the second one, but
Right.
Still you get some good value out of it.
Yeah, Rich, that's what this format is lacking is good solid burn spells. I tease. Rich is a good friend who just is just starting to play Premodern himself. I'm really excited to play some games against him.
I've seen him in the chat for a while, so I know he's
Yeah.
been hanging out and watching, so it's good that he's getting some games in. So
Yeah.
all right, where are we at? Is this still Gabe's turn? Or is Niels contemplating whether he wants to disenchant something?
Yeah, we're definitely on Gabe's turn. I think just
Okay.
passed. So I think there was a lot of a lot of math happening on Gabe's side to see if he could get away with an attack, and he just can't. You start thinking about your outs right here. also, if I'm Gabe and I did not sideboard in those powder kegs, like we don't think he did, I think this situation right here tells me why I needed to. I think he goes to it for game 5.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. Like, as we can watch Gabe to see if he reaches for a sideboard or if the
Yeah.
game develops to a point. We'll see if Engineered Plague is still in the deck. Spite math, I guess. It would be pretty bold for Gabe to bring in Karavik Spite against the Counterspell deck.
Yeah.
But oh, that was not the.
Yeah, I don't think I love Spite here. I do love Spite, but I don't know. I don't know if this is the matchup for it.
So, is this an additional cost to cast it? That is, I'm looking at an old version. Maybe I'm getting this wrong.
Yeah, we've got to pull up the.
I think I've asked this before. As additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice all permanents you control.
Yeah, no, I'm not loving it.
It's a hefty wager. Maybe if you think the matchups are really bad, then you got to take those risks. But
no.
All right, we had another angel attack, so Gabe will fall to 12.
Yeah. Suddenly, your life total starts to look a little perilous, Gabe.
Well, I wonder if Gabe has a card like Snuff Out in his deck still, like that could maybe like snuffing out the untapped one and then maybe like a crackback. Also, Snuff Out would be pretty interesting with Negator because however Nils blocks, you can get rid of the blocker and then trample over. Though it's probably pretty likely that Nils is putting a number of creatures in front of a Negator if it does attack.
Oh yeah. I'll throw everything at it. just make him pick which one to kill. And if he picks the factory, then you've got pumping options to screw around with. I want to deal that Negator as much as I can.
Yeah, Gabe has hit a number of lands. We've kind of petered out, and he hasn't really been able to apply more pressure. Though, I mean, a lot of his cards... I guess the shadow creatures are all good here.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're back on Nils' turn. I'm guessing his attack is just going to be similar. I guess you could attack with the Faerie Conclave. Because if Gabe doesn't block, he would go to 6 and then is facing lethal next turn. So I kind of like that attack, like firing up the Faerie Conclave.
It might be the time to do it. I don't hate the conservative play here from the conservative deck.
Sure. I mean, I also don't know the other cards in Nils' hand, but the cards that we've seen, from the cards we see face up, I do like that attack. But
yeah,
those 2 face down cards could make a difference.
Yeah, if it's any counter magic, I feel pretty good about that.
I mean, you still have plenty of mana for counter magic if that's what you're trying to do. So, I don't know.
Like if he's got a forbid in one of those 2 cards, like, that hand looks great.
I mean, how many spells? Like Gabe has to cast 2 spells that you're afraid of. Like, what 2 spells are you like?
Sure.
I can't think of 2 spells that Gabe would like. You just let one resolve. Like let any shadow. Okay, like a Snuff Out here maybe is something you have to counter, but in that scenario. But
now here's where we see.
All right, so this is going for the untapped one. Oh, wait, okay. So
yes, no.
Did Gabe pay life? He didn't have any mana. Did he pay life? He paid life for it. I don't know. Why did he pay life for Snuff Out?
Not sure.
Alright, so Hypnotic Spectre. is attacking is blocked by the Faerie Conclave.
Okay. And then he just pass his turn?
Yes. So Angel attack.
I think we're just seeing a scoop here. Yeah.
I don't understand why the mana was not tapped to cast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have a game five.
I would agree.
So.
I would agree, Ron. I think he forgot about the Conclave.
Yeah. All right. So we have a final game 5 in the semifinals. So I'm going to bring up the decks as these players shuffle up. Ron's thinking, given that play, that Spite was in his hand.
Oh, was he trying to get that last?
You attack with Negator then, too.
I would attack with Negator. Yeah, I would have attacked with Negator if I had Spite. The alternative casting cost of paying 4 mana.
Probably true. I wonder, like,
at this point, yeah.
What do you think the distribution of terms like a card like Snuff Out, that it's been cast for mana versus cast for life?
Probably more so Snuff Out than a card like Decree of Justice.
Sure. Or I thought you were gonna say Gush, but
yeah, Gush has never been paid for.
Oh, I'm
never in the history of Magic.
I'm sure I have.
And there's never happened.
There's plenty of like casual Magic players or like limited Mercadian Masks. Or...
That's true, Ron.
Yeah, you can tap mana for Gush and then cast the other Gush that you draw by returning islands. So, of like pre-modern cards with alternative costs, which do you think is the one that has been played for its mana the most?
Fireblast.
You think Fire? I meant not the quantity. I mean percentage. No, it's been like cast, not the alternate cost. The actual.
No. I just feel like Fireblast has.
Fireblast.
People have paid 6 for Fireblast.
I'm saying percentage wise.
Ooh.
Like. So let's think of alternate casting cost cards. So. Snuff Out, Foil.
Yeah, I think
Daze.
Thwart. Daze is probably a really good one.
Invigorate has never been.
Chat's helping us out. Yeah. For sure.
Crash is it? It's probably just Crash because of you. You probably did. You ever cast Crash for its actual mana cost?
Often, yeah.
So there you go. It's probably that one in terms of percentage wise.
Hardcast Daze happens often too.
Yeah, but in terms of a percentage of how often it's cast for its alternate cost, I don't think it's more than others. I could see maybe Unmasked, but I feel like Daze is used. I don't know. I don't feel like the decks that play Unmasked get to 4 mana that often. Pulverize. I don't think Pulverize is getting cast.
I don't think Pulverize has been included in enough deck lists to count there.
Tom says Sky Shroud, Sky and Shroud Cutter.
All right. Yes, I'm sure Sky Shroud. What? Okay, now we're just
Rouse. I know what that one is. Is 1 in a black, +2/+0. Intelligent, and you can pay 2 life instead of the mana.
Sound great.
I've definitely looked at that card. So one thing I've done for pre-modern is looked at all the cards that have the text of. It's weird because so this one says you may pay 2 life instead of paying, and then some of them say like rather than. So not all cards with alternate costs have the same wording, but I've definitely looked at all the cards that you could play for free in pre-modern.
It's definitely not Bounty of the Hunt. Bounty of the Hunt has never been cast for its casting.
I don't think the decks with Bounty of the Hunt have the luxury of I'm trying to think if I've ever played like 10 land Stompy and got to 5 mana. I'm trying to think if there's been a recorded match where I did that. There's definitely one
Nine
where I've
lands,
gotten to 5 mana, but I don't know if I
nine
cast the
land
opponent.
Stompy, and I've got 5 of them in play right now.
Oh, well, I could link you to a video where that definitely happened. So.
Yeah. Nine land Stompy with Cradles. It's not out of the question. That's my budget deck today. I love that deck.
I do enjoy playing that deck. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I just like hope against hope I don't, meet up with a real aggro deck.
I've beaten goblins before with it.
I actually had a really great match recently. We played some in-person Premodern, and Jesse, who's a member of the group, we had a Stompy versus Elves match that was really, really solid.
Elvish Champion is really a tricky card in that matchup. Well, it's funny because like both decks kind of had the ability also to like potentially pick up all their forests too. So there's a lot that goes on there. Looks like Ron is cheering for Gabe to summon a turn 1 pit, so I'm guessing that he's cheering for Gabe.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just wants to see the world burn. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. Is this a mulligan for Gabe? I was too busy paying attention to chat and other things to watch.
I'm not entirely sure. I think so.
So Nils will patiently wait for Gabe to draw a new opening hand.
Gabe's not resolving a mulligan. He's just making him sweat.
Okay, I asked before. Nils had to win 2 games if we kind of decided that Gabe had an edge. Now we're just down to 1 game, but Gabe's on the play. Who do you think's gonna win?
At this point, I'll go Nils.
Okay, that's I mean that's where my gut is saying as well.
But here's the thing: being on the play is huge here. But if he's mulliganing down, it still didn't look like he was thrilled about his hand. He did the old hand motion. I don't know.
All right, we
See
start with
first
the
turn, duress.
See what Nils is playing with: Standstill, Impulse, Humility,
Ooh,
Disenchant, Counterspell, and 2 lands. So the land I think is something that is in Nils' hand that could be a weakness.
That's scary.
So if Gabe has a number of wastelands, what card do you think you're taking here?
Standstill.
Standstill could be Counterspell as well.
Could be Counterspell.
You could make an argument for taking Impulse as well, but I don't know. I guess you would probably just need to take Standstill then.
Yeah,
taking Humility.
Okay, I don't hate taking Humility here because it is a nasty card against you, but I would fear the Standstill more if you don't have a serious threat to play.
Well, I can't imagine that Gabe has Wasteland. He has Wasteland and he still took Humility. I don't know. I would not. I don't think I would take the 4 mana card if I had Wasteland. So
no. Wow, that's really troublesome.
Well,
but still does not get a threat onto the board.
I mean, Nils has multiple draws, so like he got first one turn Teresa, so there's 1 unknown card.
He did grab an island.
Okay, so yeah, he had Flooded Strand was the other card, so we know
he grabbed an island.
Yeah, we know he has access to 2 mana.
Okay, here's another wasteland.
Well, Nils has a Flooded Strand, so it's a Dothy Horror.
Okay. I think you slammed that Standstill.
You would just use it as a buffer, say I'll take 2.
Oh yeah. I'll take 2 for a few turns.
Even if you have to give
Just
your
to,
opponent 3 cards soon, later.
I mean, I'm hoping to build up some land. He's in such a tight spot.
I mean, he has Impulse still.
That's true. Never
And
feels
he,
good to impulse for a land.
and he still has Counterspell. Like, so...
Yeah, that's fair. Man.
Here's a early engineered plague. I don't think Nils is worried about that.
No.
Let's see what the name
I
is.
do not think that Gabe went back to the sideboard either. He did soldiers again.
All right. Well, hopefully Dothy Slayer doesn't come down because it will not be a happy camper.
That's rough. Okay, he grabs a white source. So knowing there's a counterspell in hand, he grabs a white source here.
Is this an end of turn plow? Or maybe he's impulsing so that he can get a plow?
If you plow and then
stand
still,
you're in very good
love
shape.
it.
Yeah. There's an impulse.
Okay.
All right, well, let's see if we can figure out what Gabe's or what Nils found. Because yeah, this.
Oh no!
Just said go. Ooh, all right. Now we know what he didn't find. I guess 4 cards deep. He didn't find a land, and then didn't find it off his draw step. Gabe's got to be ecstatic at this spot. I guess so. I was to say.
And he's still got that wasteland sitting on the board.
Yeah,
there's so many non-basics.
Yeah, a lot of the lands that Nils draw. I mean, is there a...
He doesn't swords it, so...
Well, he could do it end of turn. I don't think that wreck is very scary right now.
No.
Nils is missing land drops.
He still does not have the counterspell mana. He can play it with some semblance of safety.
Yeah, I can see like even if he had the swords that he'd be waiting till the end of turn to do it. Because if it's a card like Hypnotic Spectre, then he would rather just get that, or a card like Phyrexian Negator. Yeah, because if you're impulsing and you don't have a land or a swords, that's
so we're gonna
pretty unfortunate. Here's a
boy,
Dark Ritual and a Bottomless Pit.
Will this get annulled?
So when we saw the original hand, was there a card like it was Counterspell, Impulse? There wasn't like a Disenchant, was there? Or was there?
I don't remember now. We've seen so many different, facts and duresses. Yeah. Like
there is a Disenchant. Okay. All right, so Gabe's just confirming that the Bottomless Pit is the card he wants to get rid of.
Yeah.
And Nils is again not able to find a third land.
Oh gosh.
Is Nils at 15?
I believe so, yeah.
Then 2 attacks from the Dothy and then a fetch land.
And a fetch.
Alright, so this will put him
13.
Okay.
Oh man.
There's a sword, so maybe we... Oh, is this end of turn? Maybe that was
end of turn.
Yeah, it did seem like that. So here's Standstill can come down.
Okay,
right?
Standstill immediately.
So that sequence that we talked about, I mean, Nils is 4 or 5 with 4 or 5 less life, but still a pretty good spot to have Standstill, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
And he's got a land, so... Does he pass a turn?
He passed the turn.
What?
I think
What is he afraid of?
I don't know.
Another pit?
I mean, you love a pit if if he plays it and you get to crack Standstill. You got to get those lands in your hand. He's going to wasteland the waste.
Oh yes, Rich. Dothy should be exiled. Oh, looks like it is now. Here is a Nantuko Shade, and Manalik answers that.
Okay. Okay. Hit a land drop? No.
Yes.
Okay, yes, we do see a land drop. Slam that Standstill.
How many cards does Gabe have? So now this Standstill's in play. Okay.
Wow. I mean, he was down to 1 card at one point. Yeah, he's still gonna be down to 1 after he plays this land. So you've got a 1 land hand for your opponent, and you've got a Standstill.
So I mean,
still
Nils
he
is
misses
still missing
another
land drops,
land.
so that does help Gabe to some extent. That like as these turns are progressing, like the big thing with Standstill is that you're able to develop your mana, and Nils is able to play his more powerful cards. But
yeah,
I mean, it's not a terrible situation for Nils to be in right here because the Standstill is buying him time, or it's going to exchange for 3 more cards where hopefully some of them are land.
Healthy life total, needs to get those lands. Doesn't have that second blue mana though, which seems huge.
That's true, because I mean, like if there's a spot where Gabe is breaking the Standstill, you do want to have blue up for Counterspell to counter that key card.
No, I think he's got the cards in his hand. Chat and Comical Flop, I believe he's got at least 3
with
right
missing
now.
land drops, I think Nils is close to having 7 cards in hand, if not 7. All right, Carnophage. Well, that one.
Yeah.
I mean, if
I'll
Nils has anything
all
like
day long.
That one's the easiest to answer because like Mishra's Factory holds Carnophage off pretty well.
Yep. Yeah, and the wasteland's already wasted.
I'm just checking the creature type of all of them now. Carnophage isn't a soldier, is it?
Zombie.
Just a zombie. I mean, because if you think about like really anything could be a soldier. I mean, it's just part of the zombie army. I don't know how the zombie army is structured. I don't.
I feel like there's a notable absence of Sarcomancy in the Suicide Black deck that's also playing Carnophage.
Just in Gabe's list specifically, or you're talking about all Suicide Black? Well, the one thing that like a lot of times that does happen in Gabe's deck is you do get in situations I feel like where I don't know if it's like draw go, but if he's under like a rack, like that, if he's just taking extra damage from his Sarcomancy, like if the token gets removed, then it might be problematic. But I don't know. I can. And then I guess also because the shadow creatures are just so good because they're evasive that another 2/2 that just gets blocked by the other creatures isn't as effective. But
oh yeah, I am very pro shadow creature. I think that's the right way to do it.
All right, so Nils, he's got to have land here, right? Otherwise, he just might throw his card to just run away.
I mean, he's drawn so many. I mean, it looks like he's got a Disenchant.
The Chain of Vapor.
Wow. Oh, this is at the end of Gabe's turn? Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah, because that makes sense. But wait, because Nils is probably going to have to discard cards.
2 blue, 2 white. That's where he wants to be. He wanted to be there 4 turns ago, but here we go. Comical Flop, is Sarcomancy expensive now?
I was saying that's what I'm about to look at. It wasn't when I got into the format, I could say that.
Yeah, exactly.
It says the average is about $8.50, so.
More than I thought it was, I'll say that.
Yeah, I think it was like $2 or $3 at most, like when I got them, so.
Yeah.
But I guess that's one thing. Like when you buy a bunch of the cards of the format and you stop buying them, you kind of stop paying attention to the price. So
Yeah, I think I picked up a couple play sets of those, just one for zombies and one more to have around for whatever aggro deck I put together.
all right, Curse Scroll is being attempted.
Okay. I imagine Curse Scroll resolves and gets answered in end of turn. Before it becomes relevant.
This is a duress after the Curse Scroll.
All right. Do you just disenchant here if you've got a disenchant?
I guess it depends on a lot of what's going on in the rest of your hand.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's got so many cards.
I mean, well, I guess even a card like Factor Fiction isn't necessarily great here because you just have so many cards in your hand anyways. So that was the card that came to mind when there's 4 open mana, but I guess I feel like I would have cast Duress before I would have cast Curse Scroll.
Probably.
Does Gabe think Duress is more important here? But either way, you're taking a counterspell with Duress. If that's what you're trying to do.
Okay. So Impulse resolves before the duress.
So he could be looking for land. He could get Swords of Plowshares. He could get Disenchant or Counter Magic. And Disenchant will take out Curse Scroll. Okay.
Yep. And then the hand gets revealed. I'm curious what he has here. Wrath. Count. Oh my gosh.
Ooh,
Oh, he's got the
Angel.
everything.
So, this Exalted Angel.
Wow. Man, that is.
It's not an
rough.
option for Gabe to take. So, and there is a Mishra's Factory. There's no Wasteland for Gabe.
Wow.
So, I'm thinking, like, okay, so if you're Nils, are you going to play that Angel face up or face down? I'm trying to think.
I'm gonna probably play it face down just to.
Yeah, because then you could have Counterspell up, and then the next turn you can just flip it up.
Yeah, what do you take? I think the game is saying the same thing. What do you take?
You take Counterspell.
Man, he's got the hand.
Like, if you look at the sequence, because Nils can go Mishra's Factory and then leave up blue. If you don't take Counterspell, I don't even know if Gabe has an out. I don't.
Oh wow, no, I don't like that.
If Gabe has no cards in hand,
no,
this Angel will flip.
Yep, and that's exactly what needs to happen right here. He's not even hesitating. Here it is.
Yeah, so it's
there's a 2/2 on the board. You couldn't possibly know what it is.
You could tell Nils is excited when he makes a play quickly because he's been deliberate in all his actions so far. So
he is.
He was probably very excited that Counterspell didn't get taken, and he knows how he's going to win this game.
Man. Yeah.
I guess if he doesn't draw a land in either that turn or this next turn, then he does become a little bit of a choice because in theory Snuff Out could still kill the Angel and he wouldn't have Counterspell magic, but
yikes.
Is that a whip quarter? I do like a good whip quarter.
What? Rich is fascinated. We've been talking about Premodern recently. He's fascinated with the idea that whip quarter sees so much play.
I don't think it sees so much play, but
when you look at the statistics on TC decks, it's definitely in the.
I guess Rebels must be skewing that. I think it's probably because I think TC decks is affected a lot by these really small local tournaments where it's
fair
because that is not a representation of what I've seen. So
whip quarter is pretty sweet, man.
I just like the balance of it. To me, it's it's efficient, it's fair, it's well designed. So
it is a well designed creature.
All right, so I guess Nils he's willing to go shields down here. So
That's scary.
He's saying
given...
I guess, I mean, it's like one card. He knows there's 2 snuff outs in the deck. I guess he had seen it last game, but I mean,
but he needs to hit that land.
yeah, I think he's saying like, well, if Gabe has an equal chance, if I'm gonna flip this up, I'd rather have the land now. And
there it is.
Okay. Angel comes up. All right, I think I missed an attack, but all right. So now here, Gabe will go down to 15, and Nils will go up to 15. It wasn't a whip quarter. Oh man.
Two blue open.
Right.
Oh man.
Gabe will pay 1 life and then attack for 2. We were bamboozled. Yeah, comical flop. I think this is pretty much lights out. I don't think, especially that we know that there's a counterspell in hand.
Right. What? Really?
I mean, I guess like because you want to close out the game.
Sure.
And that Spectre, well, like these factories can attack. Like there's this. Yeah. If you can attack for 8 here.
Yeah.
Put him to 6. There's not very many good situations for Gabe. And that's what we see. 8 damage. Wow. And then also gets to gain 4 life.
Which is so huge right now.
Yeah, I don't...
poor Gabe. This one's getting out of hand quick. Oh, he's tapping? Untapping. Okay.
Gabe will draw a card. Carnophage. He pays a life. So now...
Does he? Okay.
I guess. It blocks a factory. I don't know. But...
Not loving it. His board position's so rough.
The bold Carnophage might get his last attack in.
What a fantastic recovery.
Oh, he's a dystopia.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but he dies of the factories.
Oh, counters. Counters done.
Yeah. I think we have our match, so Counterspell
probably
takes care of dystopia. Don't think it was necessarily needed from that position, but and there's a Faerie Conclave too.
Right.
Fire them all up. An attack. The aggro blue-white deck.
Yeah.
Just of the factories and the Conclave. That was the decision. All right.
Swinging.
Smash for the creatures. I think Nils will be headed into the finals.
Wow.
Gabe's going to look at his last card. There would have to be a powerful Magic card. A very powerful Magic card.
Spite out of spite.
I think Gabe is just
thinking about all his life choices right now.
Gabe not letting anything go by him, I guess.
Think about everything. What do you got?
I'm gonna unmute them and figure out they might be talking about. Oh, there's a snuff out. Okay. Well,
okay.
Came at the wrong time, I guess. So
yeah,
let's listen to the players. Maybe we can hear a little bit what they're saying.
Yeah, that's it.
You didn't know about on the quick.
Yeah. Wow, that was intense.
Yeah, it was. Oh.
That was I mean, your answers just kept coming and coming and coming, and I don't think I don't know if do you think sideboarding into Plague was a good idea?
I was looking at the sideboard and I thought that was one of the options you do have. I'm not sure like how much you want the sideboard. You also have the powder kegs that
that I did not draw any. I think I put in 1 or 2 and I did not draw any of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to tell how much you should sideboard and what you will sideboard. I was expecting that you would bring some of them in, but not sure how many, basically.
Yeah. So, So I think I went back and forth. There's the powder keg, all the way to the bottom. I went back and forth, and I think I switched for game 4, maybe. I wrote it down over there. But like,
I switched around. I sideboarded 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I noticed you were shuffling between them.
Each game. I did some adjustments.
Yeah. This is this is where I ended up at game 5. But earlier I had put in, I just had one of each. But earlier I had the 2 plagues in before, and I think I had the 2 kegs in before. And I think for game 3 I had Spite to get out for game 4 and then put it back in for game 5. I was trying to decide on the play, on the draw, whatever, you know. It was but yeah, that was really tricky to figure out like what angles, because I was trying to guess what you were putting in to I mean I figured the angels, but I was trying to figure out between the what did you say?
Aaron and
oh yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Congratulations, Nils. That was
Thank you.
quite. We were a little worried after you got wastelanded and then you missed land drops for
Yes.
3-4 turns. Like, so did you
Oh,
you
man.
impulsed? Did you have to like take a swords, or were there just no land there?
It was no lander, so but it was 5 cards in a row without lands, and then some additional draw steps without lands.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
just kind of when you cast that impulse, I'm like, all right, he's gonna get a land, and then he's gonna be able to cast Standstill, and then you just didn't hit a land. It was like,
I think the card I found on the impulse that was most useful and generic, because I decided to fetch for planes there. I have a Counterspell in hand, and I also had a Wrath of God in hand. So there were some. I kind of wanted the double blue for the Counterspell, but then I'm even further away from casting the Wrath of God, so I decided it was better to fetch for the planes and have Disenchant as I had the Disenchant there, so at least I can Disenchant something and be a bit closer to Wrath of God. And the most generic card I could use there was Mana Leak.
okay.
So I try to keep it in hand as long as possible to just and try to stay alive basically until I find my land drops. And yeah, that was quite painful actually.
Yeah.
I played 26 lands and not drawing lands. I started with 2 and didn't draw lands like in the 10 top cards or something. So
And I think I had
impulse put 3 on the bottom, so it got there a bit faster, but still it was painful to play.
I think I drew 2 or 3 in a row too. What did I said to you? Do you want some of mine?
Yeah, that would be really helpful actually.
I don't know. The wastelands might be. I don't know if the swamps will be.
Yeah, and but then it kind of turned when I don't recall exact. I think it was when he broke my
Standstill.
Standstill.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I drew my Exalted Angel, and then suddenly the whole game changes because I know if I just can land this Exalted Angel, protect it, then just a swing for a few turns, that will give me a nice cushion with the life, and then I will probably be able to stabilize even if you kill the angel.
Yeah,
so
we knew you had a plan when like
stay alive, protect the angel, and that will hopefully stabilize.
Yeah, like after that sequence when you had the 5 mana with the Counterspell up and you made your play like right away, you knew exactly what was going on, and you could tell like you were confident at that point that you were going to win the game. That
left the 2 blue up. I think as soon as you revealed the hand for duress, when you revealed it, I was just looking at every card that got turned up was better than the last. It felt it was just brutal. What do you take? And I think Gabe, you paused for a moment there. And we were all waiting to see what you took, because
what did I take? The Factor Fiction, right?
You took Factor Fiction
because I'm like, at least because I said to him, the devil I know better than devil I don't. But I said to him, every duress I played, I was like, I regret every duress I play, and he was like, you should start him out.
I think
the Factor Fiction, that is the correct call. I guess Factor Fiction is the better one. So
that's why you have to take Counterspell, because Gabe can see the sequence that you can like. He has 1 draw to draw like a snuff out, or otherwise that Exalted Angel is going to kill him.
Yeah, because you were going to be able to play the Exalted Angel as a morph next turn. Yeah. You had to protect it with a Counterspell.
I mean, so that was
the rest. I was just I just planned. I was debating just to play the Factor Fiction right away in response, but the problem with playing Fighter Fictioner is that I cannot make use of my cards because I don't have the mana to support a big turn next one. So I figured it better just to play the Disenchant to get rid of the scroll rack. So not scroll, like the curse scroll, so it doesn't kill the angel. And just impulse and see if I can hit that fifth land, which I did, and that was the Mishra.
Yeah.
Which is also good because it stops the Carnophage later on in case the angel is answered. So
you totally mentally outplayed me in that fifth game for sure, especially with that sequence, because by not countering or anything, what did I play? The Carnophage and then the scroll, and then I was just like dying to know what was in your hand. You totally baited the dress out of me.
Well,
And
is there a reason that you cast the
game.
scroll before the duress?
I was just trying. So I was thinking I was just going to play things out of my hand to see what he counters, and then I can just keep running things out and running things out. And then when he doesn't counter anything, honestly, I got a little greedy / curious, and I was like, okay, now I want to know what was in his hand that he didn't counter anything.
Yeah, but if you play the duress first, then you could take the disenchant and then resolve
100%.
100%
is the 100% misplay on my part for sure. Yeah,
if it does that, then my
greedy.
plan will change. I will just counterspell the curse scroll, but that will not allow me to play the impulse the same turn.
You had white mana up. You had white mana up, so you couldn't cast
mana
counterspell.
less efficient.
Yeah.
I don't think you could have counterspelled that turn.
It was 100%.
Yeah, I could. I have both islands and plains.
No, I think you impulsed in response, and then you disenchanted the curse scroll in response.
But I wouldn't have impulse in
You had
response.
two and
I had the counterspell already in hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
you would have done white for disenchant or blue for counterspell. You're saying.
The only reason I impulse before the rest there is just to see if I want to do another thing than disenchant the scroll back. Like if I do accidentally just get a disrupt, then I might disrupt instead and then play disenchant on my turn.
Okay.
That's the only reason to switch around it. But I had counterspell mana up, so it was just trying to make or use my mana most efficiently. That was all I was doing because I was so behind on land. At least what Landstill used to be. I should be at 7 lands or something.
I guess if Gabe, I guess he wouldn't see your hand if you counterspelled it, but then he could have like saved the curse scroll, and if you played
No, it was completely. I got cute / greedy on that, and then.
No. I won't counter the rest. I will counter whatever threats. Is what I'm saying. So if it the rest first, I will still let it resolve. If it then picks the Disenchant, fine. And if it then plays the scroll, I will counter it.
Yeah, but if he takes the counterspell, then you can't play the Exalted Angel because then he can not play the curse scroll on that turn. You play the Exalted Angel and then he plays curse scroll and kills it.
No. Either way, I will either have a Disenchant for the curse scroll or a counterspell.
Yeah, but on the next turn, he had 4 mana. He would draw a card, play curse scroll, and you could disenchant it in response. He'd activate it and kill your
okay,
Exalted
so
Angel.
if it takes the counterspell and then
passes the turn.
Well, that's an option. Yeah.
And
yeah,
then,
such complex lines in this one. It was really, really fascinating trying to figure out what was in both players' hands at all times.
I at the end of game 2, I screwed up. Game 4, I screwed up because when I was hemming and hawing with the Negator and the Spectre about whether or not to attack, I had a Spite in my hand and he was at 6. And I was trying to figure out if there's a way for me to get him down 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I figured that out. So I was just thinking I should not take another damage there because then you can spite me.
So you would have blocked my Negator with all of your man lands.
Yeah, I wouldn't have let any trample damage. I was planning like I should at least block with 5, possibly more if I can.
Yeah. So I was right to not try to do that because then I would have had to sack pretty much everything. I would have just spited myself without the 5 damage.
I think while you were thinking, I was thinking as well, and I think what I concluded was the safest was to put the Faerie Conclave in front of the Spectre and then double block the Negator with both the Angel and the Mishra. And
just
then
one
pump
factory.
the Mishra. So that will be 7 damage to the Negator.
Yeah, but if he had... I guess if Gabe had Snuff Out, then he could have Snuff Out one of them and try to trample over for 1.
did. Well, yeah. But so I had I think 5 lands. I had the 2 creatures. I had a rack. I had a plague. Did I have another enchantment out? I don't think so.
Well, all you need to
So
do
I
is
had
deal
9
1
more lands.
damage because you could float the mana and just spite
Yeah.
him in the combat phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
But-
not playing around both cards. I was
Yeah,
playing
but I
around
couldn't have dealt.
either like a removal spell or a spite, but not both at once because I was afraid that if I have to do that, then I have to keep both angels back for blocking duty, and that seemed to give him too much time.
Yeah. Although I think at one point you were up enough, you could have attacked with both angels, like when you put me away. Oh no, I was at 8, and then I went down to 4 on the snuff out. Yeah. So I guess the next turn, if I was at 8 and I didn't try to snuff out your angel, you could have just swung with both angels, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Well,
when
maybe not.
we were at 16, I was debating to swing in with both angels and then Wrath of God the second main phase,
Yes.
just to clear the board and then have a double Mishra and a Faerie Conclave to finish the job.
Yeah.
It
That
also
was- yeah.
seemed like a line, but it was hard to tell which was the safest route there. So yeah, I ended with the other one, but it's hard to tell.
So now that you've gotten this far, between all the 1-ofs, the Monolith, the Disrupt, the Prohibit, the Force Spike, the Annul, and the Forbid, all the ones you're testing out, which one? What are your thoughts?
He said in his profile that he didn't want to let anyone know until he's done with the tournament. So
Sorry.
if you would have beaten him, then he would have been able to tell you. But you have to
Right.
wait, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Okay. I will let you know, Gabe. I'm if multiple people are interested, I guess I can do just a small write-up of
That
the
would be
different
terrific.
one-offs and share my thoughts.
Absolutely.
as long as Prohibit is the one that comes out on top. 'Cause I love Prohibit.
It's
I think you do
not
too,
the one
right,
that's on top. The one on top is the 4 of the counterspell, but
Yeah.
of the one-offs, yeah, Prohibit is. I think it's reasonable card to play. I have played it in all my versions of Landstill since I started playing Landstill in Premodern. This is
Yeah.
the third time for me playing it, and I think it's a good card. I like it especially in combination with Mana Leak because they complement each other very well. So I think the combination of Mana Leak and Prohibit is very good.
Because Prohibit is
I
better
would just
late.
refer to my list from May, and also I guess the list I did play in the. I think I played it in the spring fling as well. I do like the combination of playing 3 Mana Leaks and 1 Prohibit. I think that's a very good mix. But I'm doing something different here and just trying out some other spells.
And I mean the main deck Annul and the main deck Disenchant, Seal of Cleansing too. Because artifacts and enchantments are just running crazy all over this format. I think those are main deck Annul, I think especially. You can really catch people off guard.
Yeah, Annul has been good. I'll share that much.
Yeah.
I mean, that was honestly, I looked at your list thinking, and I was like, okay, how is it different from the stock sort of Landstill? And all the ways in that it's different are ways that specifically are bad for my deck.
Yeah, you're right. I think all the changes I did was something I actually liked in this matchup.
So,
we talked a bit about that at the start. Was your 1 mana counterspells being super relevant, especially being able to disrupt a dark ritual first turn? You got to just feel like the king of the world if it happens.
it
Yeah, I
definitely
had it
made me
discussed in
scared to death pretty early.
game 4, I believe, but Gabe played around it all the time.
I tried to go second turn duress, and you disrupted it, and then I paid the 1 mana, right?
Yeah, no, it
And
was
then-
turn 3, but still.
Turn
You
three,
had
yeah, you're
to
right, 'cause
turn
I had to
on
waste it.
the rack, which I cannot
Yeah.
disrupt. And
Yeah.
then I don't recall what you did on turn 2. And then on turn 3, you had the double swamp and a wasteland,
Right.
and I disrupted the rest. Actually, that was the reason I played the way I did as well, because I wanted to have both disrupt and counterspell up, even though I exposed the Adarkar Waste for your wasteland. But I figured if you waste on my land, you most likely will only be able to play one spell.
Yeah,
so
and that's what ended up happening. I was stuck on 2 mana, right, for a while. I remember I was stuck on 2 mana, and I had, I think, a Spectre in hand. I think I had a Negator in hand. I think I had the Spite in hand as well. I had a bunch of 3 mana spells in hand. And
yeah, it seemed like when you wasted, then afterwards you didn't draw your third land drop, and then you were kind of stuck with 3 mana stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the first thing I ended up casting was the Plague, right?
I don't recall that much.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, that was the first thing.
I just recalled.
Yeah.
That particular one. Yeah.
Any other big moments you guys noticed?
Nothing that stands out to me.
Engineered Plague should probably name human because Dothy Slayer is a soldier.
Oh yeah.
That's true. That's true.
It never came up, so.
Yeah. That's true. That would have been bad on my part. Did you know that, Nils?
Actually, I didn't. I was almost joking about it. If you have checked the creature type of Dotaro, but I thought it was. Is it a beast soldier?
Yeah. So Dothy Horror, the original printing says beast, summon beast. And it is a Dothy Horror now, so it's no longer a beast.
It's
but
it's one of those eponymous creatures.
But the Dothy Horror says soldier and is still a soldier, so
yeah.
Right.
I don't know how they make those decisions, but
Sorry. Important dinner related conversation coming up.
Yeah, we'll probably wrap things up soon too, because it's been a long stream. You guys had a long match. It was about 2.5 hours. Yeah. So
we were talking about that. Yeah, it was probably about 25 to 30 minutes per game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well done to both of you. Congratulations for getting this far. Good job, Nils.
Great run for organizing.
So
focus on my November matches.
Yeah, if you have anything else to say, I guess now is the time. Otherwise, we'll let you go, and Aaron and I will wrap things up.
I mean, thank you as always, Mike, for organizing. It's been a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed this deck, and I hope 2021 is the year of the mashup. I feel like in Premodern, jamming 2 decks into the same 75. So
sure.
I
mean, it's really interesting in LBC if this becomes the new normal Suicide Black deck, or how many people adopt it or tweak it and tune it and see where it goes from here.
Actually, Aaron, thinking I'm glad you're here because I'm hoping that Pit becomes the new Bauble.
That could happen.
Yeah.
All right, Nils, is there anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so. Maybe the rise of Annul then.
Yes.
Bottomless pit becomes a thing.
Yeah, so the metagame is shifting. We're adapting to what everyone's doing.
It also counters the bubble, so I guess it's a great
there we go.
card in the bubble bottomless.
It'll be the first time that a bobble ever gets countered. It'll be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
All right, well, players, then we'll let you go, and thank you, and have a good night.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll move over to our end screen slide. So I just want to take a moment to everyone who has been with us for the stream, especially anyone who was able to stick it out the entire thing. Way to stick it out. I mean, it was a great match, but it was long. So thank you for participating. We had a lot of people chatting and keeping things moving along, and so that was a lot of fun. I want to thank Aaron for coming on and giving a shot at commentary. Enjoyed having you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So where we're at for the rest of this tournament, we still have another semifinals to schedule and play. So I will keep you updated on when that will get scheduled, because I'll be looking to try and stream that. And then, of course, we will still have our finals where Nils is waiting his opponent. And then we'll be crowning a Fall Brawl champion. So still some more exciting Magic to catch. And also, if you're not familiar, I have been doing the Premodern Showdown series with Flint. We're doing that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're in the midst of that. You can find Aaron playing in that if you're interested. So lots of Premodern Magic if you aren't aware of. And yeah, just want to thank everyone for supporting the stream and continuing to build the Premodern community. But we're having a lot of fun, and hopefully you are enjoying it. So until next time, take care.
Thanks, everybody.